Do you believe in magic in a young girl's heart? Keep going, Kevin. Keep going.
I don't know the words. That's why I just said, do you believe in magic? I don't know the words.
We really try to get Kevin to do this opener by himself.
The people want to hear you sing.
No.
We heard their feedback. We have to go by what their feedback was.
No.
So I wonder what we're going to talk about today, guys. Any ideas?
Are we going to do magic tricks today?
We could.
Okay.
They couldn't see it, though.
Yeah, that's hard for a podcast.
Oh, damn.
We used to do video. Then I said,
I feel like it was a lot of pressure in the video and the
exactly.
Yeah, it was a
we
lot.
didn't have good backgrounds and environment of where we were all the time, so
yeah,
probably better off.
Mm-hmm. All right, so magic tricks. What can you guys do? Juggle? Can anyone juggle with 3 items?
No, false. I can wiggle my ears.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, I really can.
I'm gonna wait for you to actually.
Do you want me to do it right now? Because I will. I mean, no one else at home
I
can
thought
see
she was
it.
about to go.
And start to fly up.
Can you imagine? No, wait, and I can't smile. If I smile, I can't do it. All right, ready?
Yep. I can't see your hairs. Oh, I see it.
Oh, this one's bad.
I see it. Yo, it's real talent. I've got
I don't
zero
think that's a magic trick, though. It's more of a talent. It's a secret talent.
I could disappear if you tell me to.
Walk right out of here. Close the door. Close the lights.
Well, now we need to hear from our listeners what their secret talents are.
All right, secret talents. Okay. That's number 1 that you must answer. Mm-hmm. Or magic tricks that you know how to do.
Yes.
I know my dad used to always tell me that there were coins in my ears.
Uh-huh.
And then he would pull a coin out from behind my ear, and I would always fall for it and be like, I have a quarter today? Yes, you have a quarter.
Or the thumb trick. That's a classic, too. The separating thumb.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that one.
What? Got your thumb?
No, I don't know that one.
Really?
I didn't know that one. I know this thing, but I don't know how to describe it to our listeners. Oh. My dad would just do this thing. I don't know.
Here's the church. Here's the steeple. Open the doors and see all the people.
Oh, I know that one. Yeah.
Is that what you're doing?
No, I don't know. He used to just do this random thing.
Oh, wait. Yes. Yeah, we spin your fingers.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? We can't see.
This is our best podcast yet.
Oh my goodness. All right, so we are talking about magic school today, not the magic schoolhouse with Mrs. what, Frizzle? Frizzle?
That's the magic school bus.
Oh.
Yeah, well.
Oh my goodness.
Hop on the magic school bus.
Yeah. Okay, magic school. Let me bring it back to reality now before I just keep laughing. So magic school is something that we are piloting this year. Mm-hmm. That's also part of our AI initiatives in the district. And I have to say that it was a pleasant surprise for me when I started using this. Whenever you see a platform, it's like you think you know what there is to know, and then you dive deeper and you're like, wait, it has all this other stuff that I didn't even realize.
Well, and I think they keep adding to it as well. And I think everybody knows AI is an emerging technology that we're growing with. And just in the last 2 years, like every platform out there has exploded, and they're constantly adding new tools and thinking about ways that educators use those tools and trying to adapt to that. So
my brain is exploding at the same time of all these tools that just keep adding, because it used to be like, hey, here's Edpuzzle and you can embed questions, done, right?
Right.
Nearpod, hey, you can have interactive elements, done, right? And now all of these tools that we already have AI embedded in some way, shape, or form. And then you have these tools such as Magic School, where it's a separate entity, and then you're integrating it into your work.
Right, because it's software in its own right, but then it's also integrated into other things. There's all this overlap, and we talk all the time about how it's hard to know what tool to use for which purpose. Mm-hmm. And I think what we always net out in our conversations are that pretty much every tool now can do everything, but certain tools are better at certain things.
Right. Yeah, so the toss-up that we always talk about is Brisk, because that's the other AI platform that we have, and Magic School, and what's better and what's not, and when can you use one versus the other, right?
They all have their strengths.
Exactly. So first and foremost, we're going to talk a little bit about Raina, I think. Mm-hmm. We'll start with Raina.
I heard Raina's your best friend.
Raina is my best
BFF.
friend. It's the BFF. So there is a shirt from Magic School that says Raina is my BFF. So I purchased that and I'll wear it. Mm-hmm. And hopefully no one else gets jealous because I know all of you guys want to be
I
my
have
best
one
friend.
too.
You have one too. We have to share Raina. So she is the Magic School chatbot. And for those of you, I should preface this by saying if you have not logged into Magic School, you do have access through ClassLink. So just know that even if you wanted to listen to this and then follow along, feel free. You could do that, or you could just kind of listen for some tips and tricks along the way. So Raina is the chatbot that goes with Magic School. And what's cool about Raina is that she acts as an instructional coach. So the difference between ChatGPT is that it's just pulling from all these other different sources. It could be really whatever you want it to be. But Raina is specifically designed to help teachers.
Right. She's pulling from the same sources, essentially, as ChatGPT,
Correct.
but everything is geared with education in mind.
Right.
Which is one of the things I found most useful when I was first learning about AI, is that they understand what teachers are trying to do, what they're looking for, what they need help with, and everything in there is sort of geared with that in mind.
Right. And I think if you are starting out with Magic School, just like I'm going to also use the association to Canva, there's a lot of buttons in it.
So many buttons.
Yeah. I know that whenever talking with teachers and staff members, clericals even, they go into Canva and it's either you love Canva because you totally understand it or you're super overwhelmed with Canva. And I think sometimes teachers can go into Magic School and it's like, there's all this great stuff, but there's so many buttons. So I think my first tip to anyone who's listening about this Magic School is go to Raina and just tell her what you're looking for. And she's going to actually try to help you narrow things down.
Right. Like I think we've even put a prompt in that says, what tools do you have to help with? And then they suggest what you can use within there, and or Raina can just make the suggestions for you right in there.
Right. So you don't have to find the tool and then put in your prompt that way.
Exactly.
Yeah. So she's my best friend. Hopefully she'll be your best friend too. And so beyond Raina, I'm looking at Kevin's screen, so it helps us out when we're going through some of this. You also have your dashboard with your favorites. So it's kind of like in Google Drive, you can star your favorites. You could do the same thing in Magic School. So things that you might use over and over again will come up to the top. And then I just find it easier to find if you're using the same 3 tools all the time.
Yeah. I think if we're talking about ways to sort of gently start using AI, if you're not sure, like first steps, I think rather than having it create something completely from scratch, a good tip is to take something you already have that you can upload or paste into Raina and say, can you make this sound better? Can you add an activity for this? Like just ask to take what you have existing and improve upon it is sometimes a good way to start.
Yeah, and what I find is it's all about the prompts that you're putting in.
Yes.
And I actually wanted to talk about the activity that we did with your new teachers.
Yeah.
About prompting.
Yeah.
And I invited Kevin.
Uh-oh.
He was a great audience member.
We have his drawing here about the prompts, actually, that we're going to discuss as a reminder. I wish everyone could see it. Maybe I'll take a picture and post it. But really the idea before you even get started with AI is to understand your inputs and your outputs, right? So the better your input will be, the better that you can make it, is hopefully the better output that you will receive.
And what do you mean by better input?
The more detailed
Yes.
that you can be. So for example, we did this activity with year 2 teachers, and I hope that we could do this activity with more teachers because I thought it was...
We're going to spoil it now. We're going to give it away.
All right, maybe I shouldn't tell it. Now you're having second guessing.
It's okay.
But I won't go in detail.
We have a fairly small audience. I think we'll be okay.
No, but I won't go into the exact thing of what we did. I'll try to save some just in case they are included in this. But, so we did an activity where one person described a scene that they saw. So they were given some sort of picture and they could not tell their partner what the picture was. They couldn't show that partner. But they had to describe as best as possible. And when they described as best as possible, they had basically one shot to do this in. So they can describe for 5 minutes, they could describe for 2 minutes, and their partner had to draw whatever the other person was describing.
And they could not ask any questions.
Right.
The drawing partner could not ask for clarification or for any questions or more detail.
Right.
They had to rely on what they were told by their partner.
Exactly. So you had everyone in pairs. One was describing. Some partners, when we were walking around, some I noticed gave very detailed descriptions, but it was like very short and to the point, right? And others were going around in a circle and, using every word in creation because they wanted to get it so accurate, right? And then when we went to the people who were to draw whatever that was described, we had a varying amount of outputs.
We had, 6 or 7 drawings that came
Yes.
from the partner activity, and each one looked pretty different. They had commonalities,
Right.
but they all had a very different style and look.
Right. And I think that this activity really lent itself to what AI could be.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could have something really, really long and really, really detailed and come out with an amazing output, or you can have something that was short to the point but without descriptors.
Right, very general.
Right? And you had a completely different.
You get a very different output.
Yeah.
Right, and that's basically prompt engineering, right? And that's going to be a term that we're going to hear a lot more over the next few years.
Right.
Right.
So with all of these tools in Magic School, between Raina, or some of them are, choice board creations, or some of them that I'm peeking out over Kevin's desk, we have...
There's a rubric generator,
Yeah.
there's YouTube video questions, there's anything from SAT math practice. What else do we have here? A song generator. Uh-oh. We might have to try that for the podcast. What else?
There's behavior intervention suggestions, vocabulary-based texts. So there's all these different tools, and whatever you get out from them is basically what your input will be, right?
So, I've used it to write an email before, and I'll say something like, write me an email inviting teachers to a professional development workshop on such and such topic, right? And I'll get the output, and I'll be like, that does not sound like me at all. So then I'll go back and I'll say, make it lighter and a little funnier and very friendly. Mm-hmm. And then it says the same thing, but in a very different way. So it's all about you get out what you put in.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tap into Kevin to talk a little bit about his experience, because we did invite him for the drawing component of this. So
I am the product of a glitch, is what I am.
An AI glitch.
An AI glitch. So obviously I was the drawer in my group setting, and my partner actually did describe very well. I used the excuse of not enough caffeine, and I kind of tuned out a little bit. And it wasn't my partner's fault at all. It was actually my own. But I thought it was actually a really good example of that, because, like you said, you're gonna get different outputs depending on what you're putting into it. And I thought the group of people there were pretty engaged in what they were doing. I thought it was a pretty cool demo, like an idea to demonstrate something similar to what AI prompts are doing.
I think it's a complex topic in general to understand.
Yeah.
And then you get frustrated at some point, I'm asking it this, and why isn't it helping me? Why isn't it giving me what I'm asking? It's all about going back and reanalyzing. And one feature of Magic School that I do really like is they have this magical button. I forget what it's called exactly, but there's this button that you can click that gives you feedback on the prompt.
Isn't it prompt optimizer or something?
Yeah,
I
it might
what
be
it's called.
prompt
But yeah,
optimizer.
they're if you put these words in, you might get a better result.
Right.
I think it's a lot like back in the day when we first started with Google, and you would search for something and you would get something way off base, and you have to go back and think to yourself, okay, maybe I can say that differently and I'll get different results. It's along the same lines.
Right. I remember going back, I want to say my school librarians would always say, oh, if you put quotations, it'll help your search, right? Think of it as that way, certain things and what you put in will help your search, or will help your, your output.
Absolutely.
So that's a few of my favorite things about Magic School. That's on the teacher side, though.
I was just going to say, one of the things that I'm the most excited about is the student side.
Yes.
And it's still a little bit of an unknown. And I know that students using AI is a very frightening topic for some.
Thunderbolt. Thunder.
Yeah. Insert sound effect here, Kevin. But I think I like the way
they're going to use it. They're using it anyway, I feel
they
like.
They are using it
They're
anyway.
going home and they're using it, and there's nothing we can do about it, when they're not here, right? We put parameters in place to hopefully stop them from using it inappropriately, but there are tools that can teach them how to use this as a tool, just like we're using it for ourselves.
Right. I like that Magic School gives you an opportunity to sort of curate the tools that you make available to your students. Should I talk about our little project that we're doing?
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
So we're working with a middle school teacher right now, and we created a chat bot for the students to interact with based on a novel that they just read. And the AI is speaking to the students in the author's voice and has all the knowledge that the author has. So as the students are working on a traditional project, they can use the AI chatbot to ask questions about key scenes or to clarify certain details. And the best part is that when we programmed it, we told it, don't do the work for the students, only make suggestions. So as hard as they try with all their prompts to have it do the work for them, it says, well, I would love to do it for you, but instead I'm going to guide you with this phrase, or I'll make this suggestion, and it's really on you to do it. So.
And it's a really good tool for brainstorming for ideas.
Yeah.
And they'll give sentence starters for the kids who might get stuck. Like, I don't know how to start this piece of the assignment,
Right.
And they can use that chatbot to, go back and forth with. And you have to think of it as an assistant. We say this all the time. You're one teacher in the classroom, or maybe two, depending on your class model, right? And so you can have this chatbot go back and forth with them as long as it's programmed right and you do your testing. Mm-hmm. It can give them some great feedback to their assignments.
Right. The other one we used the other day, and I know you've mentioned used in the past, is an image generator. And so when students are doing creative work where they're coming up with something on their own and then they want to include an image, they can create that image and mirror what's in their head and what they've invented.
Right. So there's a class, I think I mentioned it in maybe a different episode, I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's a class in a middle school that one of the projects is they're inventing something that hasn't been invented.
Like a product, right?
Right, a product. And the really cool part about this project is that they're creating something from complete scratch that's not invented before. However, their visuals for the assignment used to not be really good because there's no images out there. So, an example of using this image generator is that they can put their creativity to work. And they can use that description in Image Generator, which is partnered with Adobe Express. They can use Adobe Express to type in their description and see what AI can come up with.
Right.
And there are some good filters in there, because yesterday when we were in that class, they were trying to describe a cartoon character that had fire coming out of its head.
Yeah.
And
Inside
it
Out.
wouldn't
It was the
even.
Inside Out.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
okay.
from the Inside Out movie. And at that point, we were just like, just search that. Don't use AI. Just search that character if you want to use that character as like a profile picture. But when they typed in like red cartoon character, fire coming out of its head, honestly, and very angry, it actually, the filtering from Adobe Express did not let them search it. And so at that point, I was like, that to me wasn't even that bad. Like they were just describing the character. They didn't have key terms that would turn it away. But now we know that
there are protections in place.
Exactly.
Right.
So to that point, it's very good.
Yeah.
And I think the students really, once you show them this, it sparks their curiosity. But then once they can apply it to something that they're doing in class, I think they're going to be very engaged.
Absolutely. I think there's so much in Magic School too that we have only scratched the surface as far as how we can apply it to existing lessons and strategies and use it to enhance what we already do.
Right. And I think the other part of the magic room is that the teacher decides what tools the students are getting.
Right. So they're not getting everything all at once.
Right. So for us, when we go into Magic School, we see 80 plus tools there. And again, like I said before, it could be a little overwhelming. But for Magic Student, they're only seeing what the teacher customizes for them. So, hey, Yesterday, we only put 2 tools in there. So they join this room. It's active as long as the teacher keeps it active, and they have these 2 tools to use. Mm-hmm. And then the monitoring piece comes in, which can be fun. So, of course, the first time when you have these kids going into a chat bot especially, they're going to test the waters, and we had that yesterday. But it wasn't too bad. I will say it was just like they were just trying to see if the chatbot would do the work for them, number one.
They kept trying to throw it off task, too. Ask math-related questions when we were in an ELA class. And it was like, I see that you are looking for help with math, but right now we need to stay focused on this book and this topic.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Right. So it really keeps them on track to what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think one thing that, like, from the IT perspective, I know we kind of visited this a little bit in one of our recent department meetings, just to see what's going on out there, what you guys are working on specifically. I think one thing that's pretty cool, like with the creating kind of your own little chatbot in there, I said to Scott, like, it'd be kind of cool if some of our, like, department procedures could be, like, turned into a chatbot. So, like, if we ever had a new, like, hire or something like that, or people forget, hey, what's the process for requesting time off or something like that? Then maybe, like, a chatbot could, like, help with that. Even, like, other department, like, situations where even if we had, like, an internal, like, IT manual of, like, hypothetically all scenarios that we've faced in, like, the one-to-one ticketing system. I don't know if it's doable, but, like, taking almost all the data from that and putting it into a chatbot, that way it could help guide technicians in training and, like, something that may have been, you know, resolved at one point previously and we just can't remember what the solution was to it or whatever.
Right.
Be pretty cool to play around with and see if we can try to develop something like that in the department itself. But I think it's pretty cool.
I'm curious once teachers not only use this for themselves, but the student side of it.
Right.
I'm really curious to see how this goes.
I sort of think that's where we are. I think most teachers have used AI in some way for their own, like, administrative tasks or even lesson planning and that sort of thing. I think we're still, like, really new in the realm of having kids use it and assigning it as part of, you know, a classroom assignment or a task. So I'd be curious to know if anybody has used it in that way and what they've done with it.
Mm-hmm. Or if you have just any ideas, you know. Yeah. Sometimes you have the ideas, but you don't get to execute them.
Right, and you can't see it through. Like, we would love to explore that, yeah.
Yeah, that's part of our jobs, right?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe, a little bit. So if you do have any ideas on how to integrate this with your curriculum in your class, or maybe you're a little shy about using it, we're more than happy to come in and meet with you beforehand, make a plan, and then come in and see how the kids can use it.
Absolutely. I think it'd be good to brainstorm together.
All right. So I think that wraps it up for this episode.
It was magical.
It was magical. Unicorns and all that good stuff. See you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.